Good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk. We are joined this morning by equine dental technician Tyler Kellen. Good morning, Tyler.
Good morning.
And Tyler is here with Kayla. What was your last name, Kayla? Kayla Wright? Mm-hmm. Yes, see, I remember. Just took me a minute, but I did remember. You are his assistant. You're assistant to the dental assistant. So Kayla handles all the books and everything. Now, equine dentist, equine dental stuff. What in the world is that about?
Well, to start off, I started down here at Murray State. I thought I wanted to be a vet. When we went and I got through my pre-vet, I found out that I would have to be working more with dogs and cats than I would be horses. So I decided to go a different route, a specialty. My family has always had horses. We've always been horse people. We've been involved heavily in the horse industry in Western Kentucky, so I wanted to work with horses. And I did my research. I found one of the better schools out there for equine dentistry, the American School of Equine Dentistry, and I applied. I got in, and everything. We've just gone from there.
So you started off wanting to go into vet. Were there any prereqs to get into the equine dentistry school?
Yes, you had to have at least a degree in pre-vet, if not veterinarian science. They required you to have a extensive background working with horses to be able to handle the pressure of dealing with these animals.
And what is the pressure of dealing with these animals? What does that mean?
Well, when you are working on a horse's mouth, I'm sure you and your listeners can relate. When you go to the dentist, you get anxious, you get nervous, and you understand what's going on. You understand that the dentist, there might be a little bit of a pull, there might be a little bit of pressure, but he's there to help you. Unfortunately, we can't communicate with a horse like we can a human being. So to put a horse in that situation of, I know you're hurting, I'm here to help, you have to have a certain demeanor with horses as you work with them. And you have to be able to understand, relate to them, to help them through something that could possibly be a stressful time for them.
And talk to me about, so when we take our horses to the vet, they sedate them.
Yes.
They float them, and we're good.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we're going to define what floating means. Let's tell, because not everyone listening right now even knows the first thing about what we're talking about. So let's talk about what does it mean to float a horse?
Well, let's start from the beginning. Horses' teeth actually grow. They grow at a rate of 3 centimeters every 6 months. That's why when you see horses out in the wild, your wild Mustangs, I'm sure everybody's seen either a documentary, a video, a picture. Those horses out in the wild will pick up rocks, they'll pick up sticks, and to take down the excess growth of the tooth, they will chew on a rock or a stick. Well, when horses are domesticated, we take away that ability from them. We take away their ability to just reach down, grab a rock, grab a stick, and chew on it. So you have a lot of excess growth on a horse tooth sometimes that can cause them problems. It can cause behavior problems. It can cause problems with food digestion. It can cause them to cock their head to the side. A lot of different things can be happening in a horse's mouth. And because you can't communicate with that horse, because you can't sit there and say, hey, what's wrong, and he can't answer you, then all he knows how to do is act out and be disobedient.
And why would teeth growing cause behavior issues?
You get horses' teeth, they have 44 teeth in their head, 4 rows of 11 teeth. And a horse does not eat like you or I would. They do not move their mandible up and down. They move it side to side. And with that side to side movement, their teeth have to be at a certain angle. And if they get off of that angle one way or another, it can cause those behavioral problems like we were talking about. And usually when they get off of that angle is when they have that excess growth we were just talking about.
And the problem is, I mean, they have behavior problems because it's painful.
It causes pain.
It's pain.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be painful. I've had some horses where we have had to do extractions where there were actually, the tooth had actually been manipulated and was growing into the cheek before. Things that can be very painful for a horse. And again, you as the owner, you as the rider, you think he's just acting out or not wanting to obey, and there's a serious medical problem there.
Sure, and that's, you know, we were talking before we started. I had a horse that started bucking out of nowhere, and you know, the first thing I did was said, okay, let's go get his teeth checked. Maybe there's something wrong. You know, let's see if he's got some pain in his mouth and negatively responding to the bit. You know, all other health issues. And anyway, we won't get into all that. But so tell me the process. I call you. I say, you know, I think my horse needs his teeth floated. What do you do? What are you going to do when you get there? What can I expect?
Well, what I usually start off doing is I like to take, let's take it from the beginning and say that you don't know anything about horses. I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to show you some exercises you can do on your horse yourself to check to see if this horse has any pain. Horses can actually get TMJ problems, just like people do. A lot of your listeners can relate to a bad temple headache. Horses get that a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to look for the signs and how to test for the signs to evaluate your horse and to see where he's at as far as if he's in any pain, if anything needs to be corrected, or we need to take it a step further.
Okay, so we've evaluated, we've determined that it's not anything chiropractically or, you know, that the vet needs to be involved. He just simply needs his teeth floated. What are you going to do?
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to try my best to explain this to your viewers because it kind of looks like a little medieval piece of machinery. It has two bite plates on it and a ratchet on the side, and it holds the horse's mouth open to where we can look inside, we can evaluate, and then we can go in there and we can correct the angles. We can take off any sharp points. We can do any kind of realignment that the horse may need as far as on their rows of teeth. Any sharp points, anything like that. And once we get that horse back to the proper angle, we get him back to where those sharp points are out of his mouth, and he's feeling better, that's when we know we've done our job.
Okay, so I guess my question is, okay, I had two questions. First of all, one that we were getting at a minute ago, then we jumped the track. Now, when you come to float my horse's teeth, are you allowed to sedate my horse?
That's a tricky question.
Okay.
Because in the state, depends on what state we're working in.
Let's talk about Kentucky, because we're in Caldwell County, Kentucky right now. So let's talk about that.
Okay. In the state of Kentucky, yes. As long as we are under the supervision of a certified vet.
Okay, meaning the vet has to be standing with you, or you have someone that is monitoring you?
It can be either or.
Okay.
I can go to one of the vets that I work with personally. I can say, will you come along with me? Do you want to come along with me? He can say yes, no, I trust you, I want to see. You can have a wide array of answers to that. Okay. And so usually whenever I get a call to go to somebody's house, their farm, first thing I do is I call one of the vets that I am familiar with, that I have a working relationship with in that area, and I say, would you like to be there? Would you like to supervise? Do you want to supervise? And depending on their answer, we go from there.
Okay. So if you don't have a vet with you, though, then you can go ahead and you sedate the horses. Or do you ever work on them without sedating?
We do. It can be a little more traumatic for the horses because, again, like we were talking about, they just don't understand what's going on. And the major thing about dental work on a horse is to, one, bring them back comfort, two, to help them be able to process and digest their food properly, because if they're eating and they're spilling all their hay, all their grain on the ground, they're not getting the nutrition they need. And just like you or I, nutrition is A1. You can't do anything without having energy to do it. So if your horse is dropping a lot of grain, dropping a lot of hay, and then you ask it to go on a 5-hour trail ride, or you ask it to go run a barrel pattern at a barrel race or a rodeo, it's not going to have the energy, it's not going to need, or it's not going to have what it needs to compete or to go at its optimum efficiency.
Okay. So when you do the floating, you either sedate or you don't. So if you've got the device you were talking about is called a cradle, correct?
It's called a speculum.
Speculum, okay.
Yes, it's called a speculum. And all it does is it just it looks like a mouth guard with a ratchet on the side that keeps their mouth open.
And that cranks the mouth open.
Yeah, and that's more for my safety than anything, because I'm not sure how many of your listeners have, but I've been bit by a horse a couple times. It doesn't really feel that good.
No. I don't think I have been, but I don't want to ever come back and say, now I've been bit by a horse. Yeah. All right, so then you're going to float the teeth. What is the process for getting those sharp edges off? How do you do that?
Well, what we'll first start doing is we're going to evaluate what angle those teeth, those molars, those premolars are at. We're going to see where we need to take it down at. There are a lot of problems that can occur in a horse's mouth, and those are called malocclusions, and it's just a fancy term for things that aren't right in a horse's mouth. And then we're going to go tooth by tooth, arcade by arcade in that horse's mouth, and we're going to correct what needs to be corrected. If it has sharp points on one side and it's flat on the other, we're going to level it back out to the proper angle, and we're going to take it and we're going to correct every tooth that needs to be corrected until we get to a comfortable position for that horse.
Okay. And by correcting, what I'm trying to get at here, Tyler, I'm trying to draw a picture for those who have, for anyone who has not had their horse's teeth floated. Yeah. You do this, you smooth out these edges.
Yes. I have a hand file which looks just like a large nail file almost, with a handle on it. I have a set of those at different angles, of course, to correct certain teeth. I also have power tools that I use, which is a small little, maybe foot-long Dremel motor with a wand and a inch-wide round head on it that will spin at a high rate of RPMs. That if I'm floating a large number of horses, we usually try to use the power floats. Just because it saves time, you can get more done in a shorter amount of time. and it can be less traumatizing for the horses at times.
It just kind of sands out all those rough edges and makes everything really smooth.
Right, and I think that's a great description. It's almost like a little sander.
Yeah,
a very small sander.
Like a really small sander, and it just goes in there and just smooths everything out and just gets rid of all the sharp, jagged points.
Yeah. Tyler, so many questions, but so little time. I have 2 more guests to get on the air today. Right. We're going to have you back to talk,
of course,
about more detail about floating your horse's teeth. February is National Dental Health Month. That includes your animals.
Yep.
That includes your animals. Do you do any kind of special for that?
I was actually going to say, if they want to contact us on Facebook, Kellen-Equine Dental.
You want to spell that for us?
Kellen, Equine Dental is the name of our Facebook page, and what we'll do is we will have if you buy 2 floats at the regular price, we'll give you 1 free.
And that is for the month of February?
And that is for the month of February, but you have to mention that you heard on this station.
Aha! Bonus! Yes! Talk about WPKY!
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
And I have been pronouncing your name wrong all these years. Of course,
everybody does.
It happens.
Everybody does.
Well, you need another E in there for me to pronounce it. It needs to be 2 E's, not 1.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler, we're going to have you back, and I'll probably have to see about having you come to Mayfield.
Sounds great.
In February to get mine done. So,
wonderful.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Give a number one more time we can call.
The number is 270-844-2184, or reach us on our Facebook page, Kellen-Equine Dental, K-E-L-L-E-N.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Tyler Kellen, Equine Dental Assistant. Give him a call or swing by his Facebook page and get those horses taken care of.